Get that popcorn ready because you know that intro screen's about to start. Totally Godzilla massive collection. This time, 128 gigabyte image, Recalbox, Raspberry Pi 3B. Let's get into it. So once you set up your controller and get this all to English, this is the Godzilla image, but with a ton more themes, new bezels, really decked out. So this is kind of the third iteration. I believe Mike Oz, he started out with that 32, then a 64, now it's 128, and it went in that order. Typically people go the other way around. I don't think it depends on the user. And here it gets better and better and better because he ported over a ton of themes. I'm playing with Alec Full, which reminds me a lot of a track mode, which I really like, and I think a lot of people like that look without it lagging a lot. So I mean, look at how fast these load. This is really good stuff. We can actually go ahead and put on our frames per second. Show frame rate on. And as you see, I'm not overclocked. VRAM's at 200. You can overclock this very easily. This is Recalbox. So as you see, I mean, dropping to 48 frames is not a big deal. So if you saw my review on the 64 gigabyte image, I gave it an A-. The only reason I didn't give it an A is the Scum VM games. These games right here. And then like Cave Story, great game, but it's in Portuguese. So it's not going to be in English, and I think that's going to bother some people. I'm going to turn off the frame rates just because it's... let's check out these beautiful themes here. Total games on this one, how many are we rocking? I think it's like 1,844 games, but you got a lot more CD games on this one, so we should see a lot more PlayStation, a lot more Sega CD, things like that. With that said, the image comes zipped, so it is nicely compressed for you when you get it. The compressed file is 93.1 gigabytes at 100,015,740,000 bytes. The actual image, in case you want to make sure your 128 gigabyte SD card is big enough, is 119 gigabytes, which is pretty standard, at 127,865,455,000 bytes. That's the size. Let's go ahead and jump in here and see what we have. So Arcade Classics 1157, Mame 893, which some of those are going to be Arcade Classics as well. And this is Recalbox, so it will work for the Raspberry Pi 3B, but not the B+. Neo Geo 159, Family Computer Disk System 157, Nintendo 1028. Something with this theme is you can't see the numbers very well. Another one I think a lot of people are going to like is Nostalgic. So let's go ahead and switch that out while we're checking out all the systems on here. So again, Raspberry Pi 3B 1.2 gigahertz. It'll run just fine on that. And for SD cards, just get a good 128. Should fit no problem. You shouldn't need to Pi shrink it or anything like that. Scum VM and okay, here we go. We're on Super Nintendo now. 921 games. And if I remember right, when you go in here, yep, you'll have a folder system where you have your hack games and another folder system where you have your other systems as well. So here you have your Satellaview. Very nice. And now this one does have MSU on it. The 64 gigabyte does not have that. So this is the enhanced sound. So really cool. Some really great games here with the MSU versions. So check those out. They're going to sound great. Super Nintendo MSU, new on this image, not on the 64. Nintendo 64, all 303. And as you know, over 240 of these are going to run just fine on the Raspberry Pi 3 with Recalbox. If you have it overclocked and you have the settings properly, it'll run great. Sega Master System 362, Sega Mega Drive, also known as Genesis 1045. Again, you're going to have your hacks, but also you're going to have your Mega Drive, your Japanese releases as well. So cool to see, especially for those people that like these imported games. So we moved over to Sega 32X, and we have 35 it looks like, so that's pretty standard. Sega SG 1072, Sega CD 30. So actually, I guess not many. This is pretty much the same that's on the 64 there, so no extra Sega CDs. Dreamcast. Okay, so here's something you don't have on the you don't have this on the 64 gigabyte. So you do have Crazy Taxi 1 and 2. You got Jet Set Radio, which is not going to run well, I can tell you that right now, but you could try to run it. And Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Mortal Kombat Gold, Mr. Driller, Power Stone 1 and 2, which will run. Rayman 2, Ready to Rumble, these do run pretty good. Shenmue 1 and 2, Skies of Arcadia, and these are purple, so I imagine if you click in, it's going to have a CD1, CD2, yeah. So that's why these are purple, because they're multi-CD games. And Shenmue 4 CDs. Sonic Adventure 1, 2, Soul Calibur, Star Wars Episode 1, Pod Racer, and Volgar. Okay, that's your Dreamcast. PlayStation 82. So, in case you're wondering, a lot of people like to see what's on the PlayStation collection. So I'll have a little scroll here. Again, this thing is fully loaded with themes, so if you don't like this theme, it's very easy to change it out. Just go to UI settings, go into there, and switch it out, and you're done. So that's that. Did I move over? Okay, I did do PlayStation. I thought I went over to Super Graphics. So Super Graphics, yeah, and then here's PC Engine. Atari 2600, 648, Atari 7800, 60, Coleco 140, Odyssey 2, 122, Vectrex 106, Game & Watch 58, Game Boy 583 with some hack games in there as well. Game Boy Color 535, Game Boy Advance 927, Virtual Boy 25, Game Gear 253, PSP 299, Atari Lynx 76, Neo Geo Pocket 9, Neo Geo Pocket Color 46, WonderSwan 188, Amiga 600, Commodore 177, and then 702 on the 1200. And Amstrad 455, Apple II 500, Atari ST 500. So these are all computer systems. Commodore 64 was a 350. Scum VM 28, but again, those are going to be in Portuguese. MSX 567, MSX2 101, Sharp 68000, 853, Sinclair ZX81, 1180, Sinclair ZX Spectrum 464, Cave Story 1, Lutra Game Framework. You got 9 of those. You got some Pong. You got Doom games, so Final Doom, Doom 2, Ultimate Doom, 5 of those. You got his favorites, collections, and then you got the arcade classics, and then the Mame. If a game doesn't work in Mame, try it in Final Burn Alpha here, and vice versa. So this changes depending on what theme you have. It might be called Arcade Classics or Final Burn Alpha. And then in here you have all your collections. So as you see, these are purple, meaning they're folders. So all your run and gun games, all your Sonic games, Sonic Blast. A lot of good Sonic titles there. So you have your collections as well. Let's go ahead and let's do, since the Neo Geo Mini's coming out soon, let's try a little game here. Let's try Double Dragon. So this one has the Godzilla bezel on it. Let's go Billy. Billy on Billy. Let's see how this rocks out. I like how the station wagon has some come on, Hadouken that. How is this not a Hadouken ripoff? This Billy basically does Ken's moves. Hadouken and the uppercut. Oh, and he does that move too! He even does the little kick move. Look at this. Ripping off Ken over here. Alright. So Neo Geo Godzilla bezels on that one. You can switch out the bezels very easily. Let's play an MSU game. Let's try Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Alright, nice. Turbo. Hyper fighting. Let's go 3. Let's do it. Japan and USSR. Come on. There we go. Come on. There you go. Come on, give me a Hadouken here. Okay, or I could just throw him to death. Oh, got him. I don't know why I can't seem to get the Hadouken on this controller working. What? Dang, that move's cheap. Cheap as hell. Alright. So, MSU running good. Good sound. Good music. Let's go back. Let's do a Nintendo 64 game. Sure. Let's do it. It's running really good. It's a full screen. Oh, does this guy fly? Got him. Heading south. Yum. Uh-oh, fighter jets. Oh. Got him. Alright, running good. Start select out. So we got up, down, left, right, and then left analog, up, down, and then right analog, up, left, and then A, B, X, Y on your controller. Start select, and then your bumpers, your triggers, and then these are your analog sticks to click them in, and then I like select as my hotkey. Go ahead and hit start, go to options to system with your B button, and then go backwards, go to the left, and it should be 2, and then hit your B button again, whatever you triggered it as, and then you will need to restart, so go down to quitter, and then read-a-mar, and then yeah, we're going to read-a-mar. Alright, so there you have it. This is the legendary 128GB Recalbox. When you download the file, it might come up as Godzilla 128GB Recalbox, but as you saw, it's just loaded with themes. It's running great. Recalbox, you know, the latest version is awesome. The only complaint I hear from people is some people really like video snaps, and it does not support video snaps. With all that said, though, I do find increased N64 performance. I love how user-friendly it is. You just hit start. You don't have to find the RetroPie setup menu. You don't have to ever hook up a keyboard. Everything I do in Recalbox is through a controller. Easy controller setup. Really, really good. I do think RetroPie does have better controller compatibility. Like I find it has more configs set up. So for example, like on Recalbox, you have a generic Xbox controller, and most Xbox controllers go through that, where Recalbox or RetroPie actually can differentiate between the different Xbox 360 controllers. For example, they know if I'm on a Rock Candy or an Afterglow or a stock one. You know, it definitely differentiates that, which is pretty cool. With all that said, though, I'm going to have to give this, again, an A-. The reason why not an A is there's some games that people are going to be a little upset about, and you do have to change your language and things like that. But that's because it's coming from Mike Oz, and I believe he's from France, so I think some of it's in French, some Portuguese. But for the most part, it's all here. Ton of games, the hacks, like as far as Ultimate Image, really cool. I love the addition of Dreamcast. I think that's probably the biggest differentiator here is you got Dreamcast all set up for you and ready to go. And then the MSU was kind of cool to have as well. And then we saw some more games in some of the collections, and we had all those upgraded themes. So a lot of little things, but as well as I think a lot of people like the 128 size, so it will appeal to a lot of people because they like knowing that they have, you know, 128 gigabytes available to them. So with all that said, A-, good stuff. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.